this, this. I'll do this one. All right, so we are in ICS321. So I actually set up. He's got to rebuild the server upstairs or some such thing like that. And it's too bad because that server upstairs is really, really super fast. But so I'm going to meet with him tomorrow. But anyway, in the meantime, for this class, it's perfectly fine that we use one of my servers. And so that's what I've done. So if we go to, let's see, let me just see where we are here. Today is August 29th, which is this day, and I finished covering all of Chapter 3 last time, and today I said I was just going to introduce you to your server, and since after completing Chapter 3, we know enough now about making tables, loading them up, and setting the keys and setting the foreign keys. And you remember I talked about how we set it up so if you try to delete a supplier that's got a shipment in progress, that it won't let you do that. That's because the way you set up the foreign key. So I can show you all that today using your server. So that's what I'm going to do today. This is the earliest possible time I feel that I can start introducing you to this actual real database stuff. So if you go to Assignments and go to Assignment 1, here's Assignment 1, and I'm going to plug in mine. All right. Okay, so to begin this assignment, you must first become familiar with your cPanel web server and the phpMyAdmin web app. Your web server hostname is at your username.uhmanoa.net. I just set this up for this time. So, for example, my server is https://richardh.uhmanoa.net. See if this works. It works. Okay, there we go. Great. So this is what your website looks like. It's got nothing. Okay, nothing. And you can do with it what you will, but we aren't going to bother making any web pages or anything. We're just going to use it. We're going to use the SQL part of it. But you're welcome to do anything else that you want with it. Okay, so and so to get to cPanel, you click on, you go to your web. Oh, what happened? Oh, the whole thing's not there. Okay, I gotta fix it now. Sorry, La Lima. 321 assignments. Assignment 1. The link is well, that's pretty stupid. Whatever. I'm just going to leave it at that. Now I better put the whole thing in there. Okay. All right, now when you look at it, just down here, refresh this. Now when you click on this, it should go to your Cpanel. And your Cpanel login is it's this here. Your username is your UH username, so mine is Richard H. And then your password is the first letter of your last name capitalized, the first letter of your first name lowercase, your 8-digit UHID, followed by these characters, %, $, exclamation point. Okay, so it's for me it's let's see. And then these last 3 characters here. And yes, it works. So this is what it looks like when I first log into Cpanel. I've never logged in before. This is what it looks like. What we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be looking at the file manager, so we can look at our files, all of our files in there. And we're going to look at MySQL databases, because we're going to make a database here. And we're going to use PHPMyAdmin, because we're going to create some tables and create all the keys and links and all that over here. Some other stuff here. Anyway, so this is what you get if you go to, I don't know, bluehost.com and pay $3.95 a month, except for you probably get more with bluehost.com, or $2.75, whatever. And then, or if you go to like hostgator.com and you sign up and you get $3.99, whatever. It's any of these kind of websites. You get all the stuff. It's just all free. It's all based on open source stuff. It's all open source stuff except for Cpanel is not open source. You pay a little bit of money for that if you want that, but they all come with that anyway, I think, pretty much. There's actually alternatives to Cpanel also. I've never tried any of them. I'm sold on Cpanel. I just always can even install WordPress too if you want to in here. Anyway, so let's go back to what the assignment is. So part 1 of this assignment is this, where we're going to create the suppliers parts database. We're going to create the whole thing and put the links in there and everything. And I'm going to do that today. But before we do that, you will notice that you can just go to something like, you can go to let's see. When I go to just I've opened up a different browser. If I go to richard.uhmanoa.net now, I go to the not secure. It just goes to which it defaults to the not secure. It just defaults to HTTP:// but these days with Cpanel, all your websites automatically come with a secure server certificate. So HTTPS works. Okay, so since HTTPS works right out of the box, you can put a special 3-line file, hidden file, in your root directory, in your HTML root directory, that will redirect anything that comes into HTTPS. And so to do that, that's these instructions right here. To ensure that all HTTP requests to your server default to HTTPS, add a hidden file named .htaccess in your public HTML directory to make sure hidden files are visible. See, this is a hidden file, so the default is it doesn't show the hidden files. So you have to change the settings so you can see the hidden files, because after you create it, you want to go see it, otherwise you won't think it's there. To make sure the hidden files are visible in the file manager, click the settings button in the upper right-hand corner and check the checkbox to show hidden files. Anyway, so you create a new file called .htaccess, and then you put these 3 lines in there, and then you save it and close it. And then after that, you know, if you got to make it kick, you might have to close your browser and open it up again. But after that, it should kick in, and then you can just then you don't need to type HTTPS specifically. So I'm going to do that. I logged into my I'm going to close this. So here I am in richardhmanoa.net, and let me just go back to starting out. And this is, okay, so it looks like this. So I'm going to go into File Manager, and this is my home directory, sort of, and so this is see this public underscore HTML? That is the HTTP root directory. Okay, so and this here is a symbolic link to the same thing. You can also go over here and just go HTTP. This public HTML. That is the main directory. Now, did I do this already? There's already an htaccess file in there. August 26th. Huh? Well, it looks like I already put it in there. I must have been doing this before. So anyway, so you edit it, and this is it. This is it. So what you would do, let's say it's not there. Yes, so I must have gone in and set the settings too. So I'm going to delete this just so I can do it again. Delete. So now it's gone. And usually the default when you come in, I just clicked on the settings up here. The hidden files is not set. So it looks like this. So you don't see anything. You notice there were some hidden directories. You don't see them anymore. So if you go back to the home, your home, it looks like this. And you recall there was a bunch of other dot files, directories here. I can make this bigger if you want. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you first come in. You can go into public HTML. It looks like this. Wait a second. This is wait a second. Oh gosh, no wonder. Oops. This is the wrong account. This is an account from my other class. I shouldn't have done what I just. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let me get out of here. Sorry, wrong account. Yeah, I'll put it back later. It's a Monday night class. I have till next Monday, and I got to do a bunch of other stuff on that website. This will just remind me to put it. I'm going to do it fresh on the account I meant to go into, and it's still Richard H. It's still Richard H. Richard H. .uhmanoa.net. That's still right. But I logged in Cpanel. See, this all goes to the same server. So I can take this, and from here I can actually log into one of your accounts if I have your username and your password. So this is the username for my other account. So that's why I did it. The username for this particular class is put a 1 there instead of an I. And now I'm in, I want to save this. Now I'm in the file manager that you're going to see. And I go in here. And here it is. So this is what it looks like when you first log in. and you go into public HTML, double click, and this is what it looks like, just a plain old CGI bin directory, nothing else in there. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to put that htaccess file in there. So to do that, first of all, let's do the settings up here. Click, and you want to show the hidden files, the dot files, as they say. So here they are. Now we can see the dot files and the dot directories. And I'm going to create a new file. So I'm going to click on plus file, and I'm going to name it .htaccess. Create new file. There it is. It's 0 bytes. Now I'm going to go into it, click, and I can go edit. And I click edit, and here I am. And I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to copy and go back here and paste, and there we are. Bunch of code. Save the changes, and now when I go to Richard H at uhmanure.net, it automatically bounces over, and now you see the green lock there. It automatically switched over to the secure server. Okay, so that takes care of the first thing. Okay, now let's do this database creation. So I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to create a database. You'll see how I do that. I'm going to go and create some tables. I'll put this stuff in the tables, put the tuples in the tables, and then I'm going to link up, define the key, and link it all up. And I'm going to show you that it's all linked up and show you some stuff how you can tell. And then I'm going to do this sequence of things here just to confirm that I set the constraints correctly. And so what I want you to do for this particular part of this assignment is to do it and then leave it how it was at the end of this last step, and then I can go in and see. And then when it's graded, the person who grades can just go in and see that the state of the database is as it should be here. And so you just leave it, and if you want to ever do anything else with this, we will be doing some other stuff with this. You'll be able to just recreate the database, or you can see how we can. After a while, we'll learn more about exporting and importing and that kind of stuff. Soon we will. So anyway, so step one is log in a cPanel. Using the MySQL Databases app, create a new database named A1P1 Supply Parts. Okay, just like that. Okay. So let's do that. Go to here. Here I am, and go to Databases, MySQL Databases. Click on that, and I'm going to create a new database now called this. Copy, paste. So it's actually going to be my UH username underscore and then the name of the database, because really all of these are on the same machine, and that's how you separate them. That's how we separate them. So that's it. Create database. There. Now it's created. So now we have a database here. Now, later on, we're going to do some stuff, and we're going to have to create a user to access the database. But for right now, we're just going to do everything in this phpMyAdmin at cPanel, so we don't have to bother with the creating a user and all that kind of stuff, and giving the user permissions and all that. We can learn how to do that later. Okay, so we're back here. Now I'd like you to go into phpMyAdmin. And so here we are. We're in phpMyAdmin. And this is a great universal interface to MySQL. And it's just gotten better and better throughout the years. And it's free, and it's just great. So on the left here, you see it's your the database that you just created. This information schema has to do with something else, and we'll probably get into that way at the end. Maybe we'll look and see what that is. But for now, you can just sort of ignore it because we aren't going to do anything there. So if you click on the database, you can see now on the right here, we're actually in the database, and you can see it up there. It says this is the database that we're in, and you can see there aren't any tables yet. Here you can just type in some SQL, search, and so on. We'll see these. Here you can export, import, and so on. So I click on structure, and I get to this point here to create a table. So, okay, let's go back and see what the instructions are. Create each of the 3 tables manually. Be sure to use INNODB database engine for each table. Set appropriate field types for each field. Be sure to set the primary key. Insert the records so all the tuples shown above are present. Okay, so I'm going to start by just creating this suppliers table. It's the smallest table, and I want you to see how you would create it by hand. There's going to be lots of times when you're starting to make a new system, a new database, and these days you start by making a rudimentary prototype, and then that just grows. Okay, well, this MySQL lends itself to that. You can always add more columns and add more tables and add things and modify things any way you want to. So first I'm going to create a table manually this table. So let's see how we do that. So let's create a new table. Let's call it S for suppliers, and it's going to be 4 columns. That's fine. And so here we are. We have a column called SNO, and that's going to be let's see all the things, all the primitive types. Well, there's varchar, text, date, these different numeric ones, there's date, time ones, there's string ones, and tiny text and all that. Well, they're all different, sort of. They're all different for various things. Varchar is the most universally used. Varchar is it's easiest to. The engine is you limit. There's a parameter where you limit the number of characters, the maximum length. It's a string, and you say what the maximum length of the string can be. That's the same thing as a char. The difference, but what a char is char. If you say it's going to be 250 at maximum 250 characters, it is 250 characters. If you put something in there that's only 100 characters, it fills it up with spaces. Okay, so that's char. Varchar you just use as much space as you need. So if you say maximum 250 characters, and you put in something that's 100 characters, then it's only going to take up 100 characters. So that's why most people just use varchar for strings. These other things are different. Text is different because text it's more like you have a pointer to text, and so you can still do all the things and still search all the different ways, but it's a little less efficient. And a text is default 65,536 characters or 35 characters. That's a default for text. Tiny text is something smaller. I think it's 4096. And then there's these other ones. And long text might be even bigger. And then there's these other ones. But anyway, so let's use varchar. And let's say that an SNO can just be, let's say it can be S followed by an integer between 0 and 99 or something. Okay, so let's just say it's varchar 3. So that's the maximum width that this SNO can be. Maybe it'd be bigger. And then over here, I'm going to click this arrow up here so I can have more room. you don't need to worry about, well, for defaults should never be null. So if you just leave it none, then it'll make the default be an appropriate default for the type that you chose. And so the appropriate default for character string is a null string. So that's what the default will be if we leave it at none. Or you can always make it something if you want to, where if you're inserting a new tuple into that table and you don't specify the SNO, then it'll use a default. So you wouldn't necessarily do that with SNO, I'm sure. But anyway, just leave it blank. We're always going to specify the SNO. Correlation doesn't really matter. Attributes don't matter for this one. Don't check null. Here is where we can say that this is the primary key. So I'm going to put it here. Go. And I can just leave comments. A_I means auto increment. We'll get, that's a very, very handy feature, and we'll learn that later, but just pointing out that checkbox. Okay, and then we've got the S name, and that's going to be varchar, and let's say, I don't know, 25. And then we got a status, and that's going to be an integer between 0 and 100. So I'm just going to say int 3, because that's 100, but really we really should later on put in something where we can really make the constraint be at 0 to 100. Right? Wait a minute. Oh yes, it's decimal 3. It's decimal 3. So right now we're restricting it to 0 and 999, between 0 and 999. It doesn't look. We can't put 2 digits because we want to be able to store 100, the value 100. So. And then we have the city. And I can make that varchar 25 also. Okay, and then the other thing I tell you to do is to say what the storage engine is. So I want you to say the storage engine is INNODB. Now, the reason for that is because, as we will learn, these different versions of SQL, they don't do everything that's in relational algebra, all the rules and everything. There's various kinds of engines. It turns out that the default in MySQL is MyISAM, and that's a great database engine, storage engine, except for it does not enforce foreign key constraints. It doesn't enforce them. You can still join tables, and you can still, use foreign keys as though they're foreign keys. You do all the stuff like, specify the index, you index them and all that. But it doesn't enforce if you try to delete the supplier table, but there's parts in transit for that supplier. How we want the database to be able to enforce that. Oftentimes, and there's other things too. And that's just the trade-off between efficiency and the academic, being true to the rules of relational algebra. But practically, on the practical side, when you're designing and getting your database to work, you may have everything be INNODB, and that way all the stuff's enforced. But after you know everything works and you're going into production and you want optimal performance, then you can switch it to MyISAM, and it'll be a lot more efficient. I mean, all that business about enforcing also with MyISAM storage engine, you can't define transactions. And the way transactions work is you want a series of SQL statements to be done indivisibly, so once you start them, you don't want anybody going in there and messing with any of those tables while you are doing your sequence of SQL statements that you want to complete. And so there's a way to do that when you're creating a stored procedure, and my ISAM does not support that, whereas INN ODB. So make sure you switch over to INN ODB, and that's why. Okay, so when we're done defining all this stuff, click Save. So now we have this table here, and this is what it looks like, and we've got a primary key defined and all this stuff here. So if we want to enter, let me just go boom, boom. This is our database, and over here is the table that we want to insert. And so why don't I put it over here like this? And why don't I take this and put it like this, maybe? This maybe. And so over here I'm going to say, I'm going to do this, this, this. So you can insert. And you can insert two at a time. So I'm going to insert S1, tab, Smith, S-M-I-T-H, tab 10, tab London, tab S2, oops, S, capital S2, Jones, this is 20, and this is 10, Paris, and I'm going to insert as new row, then insert a new row, so I'm going to click Go. And so those two got inserted, and now I'm going to insert S3, Blake, 30, Belly, Paris, and S4, tab Clark, tab 20, tab London, and then one more, insert another row, click, and one more is S5, tab Adams, 30, Athens. All right, there we go. And we are back to previous page. Go. Okay, so one row is sort of Athens. Okay, so now up here we can click on Browse, and here is our table with the 5 records. Here is our rel var with the 5 tuples. And you click on Structure, and you see that this is the definition of the table here. Okay, so that's how you do, that's one way of entering a table. But there are other ways of entering a table. Let's say we have this great big, let's say instead of just 5 tuples, it's lots of tuples. So one way you can do it is like this. Open up Excel. Excel, E-X-C. And just open up a spreadsheet. Okay. And then copy this table into your spreadsheet, but text only. Or no, formatting, well, do a right click and do the second selection. So I'm just going to start with SNO here, and I'm going to drag all the way down to the 400, make sure I get all the 400. And I'm going to right click and go copy. And then I'm going to go to Excel, and I'm going to click on A1, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to paste this one here, this match destination formatting. And oh, look at that. Nice table. Okay? Not done yet. Now I'm going to, well, let's see, one thing, you could save this as a .csv file if you want to. Yeah, let's just do it that way. Click File, Save As. I'm going to save it on my desktop, if I can. Browse desktop. Just going to save it on my desktop. I'm going to save it as find the first .csv you find when you're going down. Here, this one. Where's the first one? Oh, this one. Yeah, try that one. Yeah, I think this is the oldest one because it's only got 8, and then this is just comma. Yeah. Okay, so we want. Well, it doesn't. Okay. Let's do comma delimited, but you can do tab delimited if you want to. Tab, there's advantages of each. But I'm going to do this UTF-8 to see if it works. My inclination would just be to do this CSV here because it doesn't have anything. These are some other things having to do with carriage return line feed, I suppose. I'll just do this UTF-8 and see what happens. And I'm going to name it. I'll name it sp.csv. Hope it works. And so it looks like this one. Right click. I'm going to open up in a text editor so I can see. Okay. Yep. This is a perfectly fine comma separated valued file, text file. So now I'm over here in my Richard H. My supplier parts database. Let me pop that over again. Now we're going to import, but make sure you're not in a table. Make sure you're back up here at the database level. You're at the database level, and when you look over here, you're seeing a table. Okay, you're not seeing fields of a table. You're seeing tables. So we're going to import another table. Okay. So here we are. I clicked on import, and all I see is a database up here. I don't see anything else here. So now I'm going to find my table that I just made. It's It's sp. Here it is. sp.csv. Open. And I got to go down here, and I have to make sure I click the first line of the file contains the table column names. You got to make sure you check that checkbox. If you don't check that checkbox, it's going to take the first row as data, and it'll name the columns column 1, column 2, column 3. But then it's not. But then it's like you have a column full of numbers, but then there's this. The first record says. Where's the first? What's the quantity? So there's this QTY. So it sees QTY, and that's not a number, so it's going to think the whole column is a character field, and it's going to set it to the wrong field type and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you set that. And then click Go, and it comes up, and it looks like this. It says it's all nice and green. It's finished. But over here you see the name is Table 2. So we got to change it. So let's go see what. First of all, let's look at Table 2. I'm going to click right here. Click on Table 2, and oh, look what it looks like. O is the first. I don't know why it says O. What did I do? SNO. What does this look like? SNO. That's weird. Oh well, that's okay. Easy to fix. So go over here and go to Structure. And we're going to change this O to change. Make it SNO. SNO. Let's make it varchar 3 because remember we said it's going to be 3 characters. See it guesses. It makes the best guess it can. And it's never going to be null, so uncheck that. And we'll get back to setting the key in a moment. So click Save. And now we see that this is varchar 3, fine, and none. Now let's take this P&O here. Let's change it. And let's change this to varchar 3. Let's say the parts P&O is going to be the same as SNO. It's not null. Unnull it. And click Save. And here we have a quantity of 3. You know, it's the biggest number was 3 digits. Well, it's probably going to be bigger than 3. The default integer. Well, let's just take this off, and we'll make it the default integer size. And it can't be null. It's going to be the default's going to be 0 if it's nothing. Click Save, and we see that the default is int 11. And if you take 10 to the 11th power, you see that that fits into a 32-bit, 4-byte number, which is whatever it is, 2 to the 31st power. Okay, so now we've finished this great table here. Now, oh, look, it still says table 2. Let's go to operations, and we're going to rename the table SP, and we also have to change the storage engine to INNODB. Click Go, and now it's changed over here. And so now when we look at, click up here, click on the database, just the database, and now we see there's 2 tables here, and there's 5 rows, 12 rows, and the type is INNODB. The collation is different. I don't know what that's going to do, if that's going to matter. Hope it doesn't matter. Anyway, I wonder if that's going to matter. Probably not. Okay, so next we're going to, this is the kind of thing where if this were Microsoft SQL, I would think that this is going to matter. But MySQL, probably won't matter. We will see if it matters before we're done here. Okay, so I got to do one more, and I'm going to do it a slightly different way. I like to do it this way. You go, let's find it. It's this thing. No, it's this thing. So let's take this last table here, and I'm just gonna select it. I'm gonna use this spreadsheet again. Select it, copy, and I'm gonna go back over here, and I'm gonna make a new one, and I'm just gonna paste it this way, like that, and that's there. And then I'm going to just grab it again, copy, and then I'm going to go over to blank, get a blank text file, and I'm going to paste, and now it's a tab delimited text file, tab delimited /\t. So I'm just going to save this. Save it as, I'm going to save it on my desktop, and I'm going to call it, P, capital P, dot, no, I'm going to call it capital P, underscore TXT dot CSV. I'm just going to call it dot CSV, so that way when I select the file, when I select the table, in PHPMyAdmin, it'll automatically set it to .csv. So we say that it's a .csv file, except we're going to change the comma to a \t. So it's not a CSV file anymore. It's like a TSV file, which is the same as tab delimited. But to facilitate that, I'm going to name it .csv. And so it still looks like this. It's tab delimited, though, not comma separated, not comma delimited. And so I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go, so click my database, and then click on import, and then find that P under this one, find it, open, and it sets everything right, except for now, not comma separated, backspace, \T separated. And again, we want to make the first line of the file contains the table names, of, make sure it's checked. And now when I click go, it comes in, and I click on table 3, and there's my table, all nice and neat there. Let's go to structure, and let's change P&O to varchar 3. By the way, I never set the key to SP yet. I got to set the key to SP. And let's make this so it's not null. And can we set the key here? No, we can't. We'll have to set the key on the structure right here. Right here, I want to set the key, P&O. Go right over here, and I click on primary. Click OK. Okay. P name, that's the name of the part. I'm going to make it, let's say it can be 25. 25, and it cannot be null. Save. And the color change, I'm going to say the color can be, I don't know, 20. Not null. And the weight, this is going to be a decimal number. So I'm going to say that the weight can be, I'm going to call it decimal. Now, when you specify a decimal number, you specify the number of digits. Let's say it's 11. And then you specify where the decimal point is, comma, and then where the decimal point is. So I'm going to say the decimal point is at 3, maybe. I don't know, whatever. And it can't be null. And click Save. So that's the weight. And then the city, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to change it to 25. 25. And it can't be null. Save. And I better change the name of table 3 to P. And I better make it a INNODB. Click. Looks like I can change the collation right there. Let me go back to the database itself. And I guess I can maybe, let me click on S, structure, and let me click on operations. And it looks like I can change the collation to, what was it? Started with a U? Huh?
It's UTF-8.
So it's not here? UTF-32. Oh, here. Which one?
Croatian.
It was Croatian?
Sorry. It just said UTF-8. Maybe it's Unicode?
Yes. So this one, maybe?
Jason sent it.
Oh, is that what CI stands for?
Yeah, that's what it said was covered.
Maybe it says. Let's see what it does. Go back here. Oh no, general C. That's why it's cases. Okay, yeah, okay, general CI. Let me change it to general CI. Go back to here. Go back to here. UTF-8. General CI. All right. And they're all INNODB. We got to set these two. So to make both these the primary key, you click both these, and then you just click on primary. There we go. Okay. Now the last thing we have to do is we have to set up the foreign keys. So we set up the foreign keys in the table that's got the foreign keys. So we don't set up the foreign keys in the supplier table. We don't set up the foreign keys in the parts table. We set up the foreign keys in the supplier parts table because that's where the foreign keys are. And so we're in the supplier parts table right now. And it's these, and so we want to click on structure again, and then right up at the top here it says relation view. It wouldn't say that if we were in my ISAM. Click on relation view, and here is where we set up the constraints. So I ask you to on delete and on restrict on delete and restrict on update. So and you can I'm going to pop this over so it's long like this. You don't have to put in a constraint name. It'll put in a constraint name. So let's do on delete restrict. See, these are the things that you can do on delete. And by on delete, we're talking about supplier deleting a supplier. Or we're talking about deleting a part. Okay. When you try to delete a part, you can either restrict it and you say, no, sorry, you can't delete this part because it's referenced in the SP table. Or you can cascade, and cascade is where you if you're going to delete a supplier, you delete the SP records also that go along with that supplier. You know, maybe that's what you want. You can either set it to null, which means you would set the SNO field to null, which you don't want to do, or you don't do anything. You leave the dangling reference. You leave the orphan there. Anyway, I ask you to do restrict, and same with update, restrict. And then so now we select which column we are going to define, which form, and let's do SNO first. And that's going to be a foreign key into the same database table of suppliers. And the field is SNO, obviously, and it only gives you the choice of fields that qualify, that it can be, and it has to be an indexed. It has to be indexed. Same with here. No, not here. Just QTY is not indexed. All right, so that does that. Save. Oh. Why can't I add? I wonder why I can't add a foreign key. Oh, let me try P&O. Oh, that one worked. So I can add P&O. For some reason, SNO, SP to SNO doesn't work. Oh, I wonder if that changing the type had something to do with it. Let's try it again. It's not going to work. Try it twice, expecting a set. I'm doing the same thing over again, expecting a different result. That's dumb, right? Okay, so for some reason, cannot add foreign key constraint. Well, let's diagnose this. Well, this is good to know. I uploaded it 2 different ways, and I can't do that because something gets messed up in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this table. I'm going to drop the S table because that's the one that's causing me trouble. And I'm just going to upload it again, and I'm going to do it the way I did the other ones. So to do that, I go here, and I'm going to grab this, Control-C, Control-V, oops, it doesn't matter, copy, go over here, select all, kill, Control-V, save as S. Save, go to here, this. Import S this one, make this a \t, and make the first line contains that. Click go, and here we are. Change it to S. Change it to INODB, and it's UTF-8 general, whatever. Go back to table S and go to structure. Make this, change it to varchar 3. Not null. Save. Changes to, change the name, it can be 25 characters. Is this class go to 245? Get rid of this. I didn't set that other field to null. This can't be null. So anyway, you have to fix these two things. Let me quickly see if I can set the second relation view. Go to structure, relation view, on restrict SNO, no primary key. There we go. SP, this one, relation view, SNO, S, save. It worked. Okay, so now when we browse this SP table, as this works, this actually, you can actually click that, and let me just I'll just do the first one, try to delete Smith and see what happens. What just happened? They're all there. Smith is there. Okay, so it didn't work. Shouldn't have worked. But we can delete Athens. We can certainly delete Athens because doesn't have any parts in it. So I can delete Athens, and boom, it's gone. So now Athens is gone. And then so now you've seen this, and now you should be able to pretty easily go through and do the rest of these steps one by one, and you should see what comes up. All right? Are there any questions? These guys have any questions? No? All right? See you Monday. Wednesday. Thanks for watching.